Hello everybody and welcome back to a fresh, piping hot new episode of I Talk to Notebooks. I am your host, as always, Sarah, and today we are getting back into the Topics in Journaling series on why you are not journaling as much as you would want to be. This video is part 2 in a series that is going to be 3 parts long. The first part is going to be up in an iCard and down in the description if you want to watch it. I'm also going to do a very brief summary here. And it was several months ago that the last video was posted because I did take a short break. And for those of you who don't know and are just now tuning in, this video series is in response to a survey I conducted several months back. And this survey was posted to several different places, but I think most of the traffic did come from the journaling subreddit. That's reddit.com/r/journaling if you want to check it out. It's a pretty good subreddit, as subreddits go. And this was a 2-question survey that first asked for a general reason as to why someone is not journaling as much as they would like to be journaling. And then secondly, it then goes on to ask them to choose an elaboration onto that reason from a multiple choice list. So we have not only the main reasons why people feel they aren't journaling as much as they want to be, but also then them adding a little bit more of an explanation on top of that. So we have been going through this survey, the answers to the questions from most popularly selected answers to least popularly selected answers. And so let's just do a quick recap on the responses from the last video that I covered last time. And the responses were as follows. The most popular one was that people feel like they have a lot to journal about during the day, but then by the time they get to actually sit down and write, they feel that the moment has passed. The second most popular answer was that people feel that they don't have anything to write about. And then the third most popular answer was that they feel they have too much to write about, which I did not think. I knew I don't have anything to write about. I thought that was going to be the first answer. I did not think too much was going to be in the top 3, but it was. So if any of those answers are pertinent to you, go and check out the last video. The purpose of these videos is not just to go over the results of the survey and just summarize them, which would be pretty boring, but also to provide tips for overcoming these reasons so you can have the journaling practice that you want, whether that's journaling every single day or once a week or just often enough that you actually are getting to use your fun craft supplies. Like whatever your standard is, if you're not meeting it, let's try and meet those goals. All right, so let's get into this week's reasons, part 2. Next most popular reason: I am afraid I'll regret reading my entry back later. That is the reason. And that is a common one. That's something that I've heard people in my in-person life talk about a lot. Like, oh man, I would keep a journal. I'm sure it's so good for you, but like if I have to look at the words I write, I'm going to like vomit and die. And I feel that. Like sometimes as I'm writing, I want to vomit and die. Like it's not good because you're forced to look yourself in the eye. And it's not always a good look over there. Like we're very flawed people and a lot of us suck, myself absolutely included. And my journal really does force me to reflect on what I'm up to. Not to say I'm the most self-aware person in the world, but I definitely get to see the warts that I wish I didn't have to see. So, subcategories on this reason. My entries tend to include parts of my personality that make me cringe. Oh, but don't they though? Yes, this is very relatable. Here is how you can combat this. This was, by the way, the most popular subcategory answer, which I get because sometimes it's not a specific thing that you wrote, it's just the way that you write it. Like as I'm doing some of my flip throughs for this channel, I am looking back and I'm like, do I really want to share the weird turn of phrase I thought was so cool when I was 13 with the entire world? No, I don't, but also yes, because we're all cringe and we can all just be vulnerable together and share this stuff. Like, it's fine. So my top answer for how to combat this one is, and it's gonna sound really trite, just don't read your journals back later. And that just means you write your entry and then you just close it. That's a great thing about notebooks is they do close, and then you put it on the shelf or under your bed or under a floorboard or in a storage unit or bury it somewhere in Antarctica, and don't go back and read it again. You don't have to. No one is forcing you to do that. If you find yourself compulsively reading back entries, I found at least that can actually really hinder my progress, even if I'm not cringing, because there's always this looking back instead of like mindfulness and like focus on the present moment. And focusing on the present, being mindful is really healthy for people. That's something that I've learned a lot in therapy. So if you're always looking backwards at your old entries, that's not good anyway. So I would recommend kind of trying to limit this a little bit, even if you're not struggling with this. But if you are struggling with this, this is a really easy solution. If you can't do that, if it's too hard not to read them back later, I nearly gave myself a migraine trying to eke out this answer because I don't like it. I don't like this technique, but a lot of people like it. It works for them. I'm going to type it now. Burn or trash your journals. Please don't, but if you have to, if you need to get it all out and be cathartic and then burn them, if that's what works for you, it's better than not doing anything to help yourself at all. But oh my gosh, it hurts my soul that people burn their journals. But if you need to do it, you do it, okay? This might be your magic solution. So don't listen to my feelings. Listen to the recommendation. If it works for you, it works for you. Yeah. But I have also heard of people burning them and then regretting it later. So just a tidbit, but do it if you need to, but maybe don't do it, please. But also do it if you need to do it, in all seriousness. Okay, here's a good one. This is the one that's like tough. Okay, examine why you behave that way. We could just leave that there, okay? This is like one of the reasons that you shouldn't burn them is because when you do eventually go back and read them, which we all do it, okay? It's totally normal. When you go back and read them, you can look and see like what was really behind that. And you might not have even known at the time, but as you look back with a little more wisdom and age and maturity, to score in any balk line game and I say that any boo can't take and shove a ball in a pocket.
And I call that sloth. The first big step on the road to the depths of degradation. I say first, medicinal wine from a teaspoon, then beer from a bottle.
I'm sorry, that line I just said turned out to be part of a Music Man song and I had to say the rest of it. But, I completely forgot. Yes, if you look back with better judgment and maturity, then you will actually be able to see why you did what you did. And that's actually a key component of growth, which is a key benefit of journaling, is being able to look back on your past self and grow as a person. So that's a good thing. And you're actually going to be getting a benefit out of that. So then instead of just looking back and saying, my personality is so cringy, yes, it was, but now I see why it was that way, and now I'm growing from it, so this is overall a net benefit. And now I want to write more because I'm liking this benefit. You see what I'm saying? I think that makes a lot of sense. This is a two-part one, though, because it's not only examine why you behave that way, which is enough, but you can also add step 2, which is, and consider whether it is understandable and whether you'd judge someone else as harshly, okay? Because we all stay up at night remembering that thing we said when we were 13 years old, feeling terrible. Meanwhile, how many of our friends did equally or more cringy things that we don't even remember because we are all focused on ourselves? That is the human condition. So if people, that's how I got over that. I used to really have a lot of anxiety remembering cringy stuff I've done. Like, nobody remembers anything about me. Not because it wasn't cringy, it was, but because they have their own lives and I'm not really that important. So that's an easy way to get over that. And if other people's journals are cringy, sometimes people will show them and it's like, oh, yikes, there. We were all that way when we were 12, though. So, or even yesterday, let's be honest. These aren't just from when you're little. This is from like maybe a year ago or even last week. But we all do things that are bad, and as long as you can look and be understanding, we forgive and forget other people. So forgive and forget yourself. And here's the other one too, which ties into that. I don't even know if this needs a separate answer, but try forgiving yourself and acknowledging growth. And this is something that's really helped me a lot in my journals. There were some journals that I was really ashamed of for a long time when they were more recent. And since then, I've had more understanding about why I journaled the way that I did and why I was fixating on the things that I did. And it was usually because of things that I couldn't control or things that I felt like just things that are understandable in the long run, and things that, it's a person who's hurting or a person who's struggling, and to look back on yourself with compassion is really healthy, I think. You don't want to forgive yourself too quickly for things you did that hurt other people actively, but if it's just cringiness, then it makes sense to kind of, move past that, accept that you were just trying to fit in, you were just trying to be cool, you were just trying to find yourself. Even if that was last week, we're all still trying to find ourselves, okay? And you can accept that, and you're growing, and tomorrow you're gonna think that the thing you did today was cringy, and we all just get along, and it's fine anyway. Okay, let's go into the next one. Regret reading it back later. That's the heading, and the subheading in this time is my entries tend to document things I have said or done that I regret. This one, admittedly, is significantly hairier because it's not just a question of, I was a little cringe. It's a question of, like, I did some stuff that I genuinely don't think was good. I said some things that I genuinely don't think were the right things to say. I had some bad takes. I did some bad things. Maybe I hurt some people. And that's objectively bad. Like, you can't just say, oh, well, you live and you learn and not move on for it. Like, you need to take some action when it comes to things like that. And that's, journaling is helpful. Like, if you can look back and say, what I did there was wrong, what I said there was wrong, then that's a step in the right direction. Okay? So, but you have to do that. You can't just journal it and then forget about it and not reflect. Journaling and reflecting are really important. They go hand in hand. So the first thing you should do, because you're never going to be able to grow from this if you're just like so filled with self-loathing looking back on it that you just can't face it. So you need to be able to face it. So go a little soft on yourself and try journaling about how you have grown since then. So if you're looking back at an entry from a couple weeks ago, now make an entry about, okay, a couple weeks ago I said this thing, it was wrong. Since then, I've come to realize X, Y, and Z, which is why it's wrong. Almost like an apology, but a very like responsible, like taking accountability type apology. And then the second step is to try acting against those actions now. Because here's the thing, none of us have any control over the past. We just don't. You can't go back and change it. Believe me, there are so many things I wish I could go back and change. You can't. All you have control over is the current moment and the future. So you have to be mindful. You have to go step by step and focus on acting against those tendencies and those actions. So if you said something rude to somebody in line at Starbucks last week, I'm sorry, am I showing the fact that I am a white female? Because I think it's showing. If you said something rude to somebody in line at Starbucks last week, this week, maybe do a pay it forward. Maybe buy somebody's drink at Starbucks. Maybe don't do that because a lot of people find it annoying. Maybe leave a big tip at Starbucks, Try to do positive things to counteract that rudeness. And if you catch yourself leaning towards it again, catch it, stop it. And it's hard to build that habit, but over time you can build it. It is like a muscle. It'll get stronger and you will have more self-control and you'll become more the person that you want to become and that other people really honestly deserve for you to be. And journaling can be a really helpful tool. So actually, if you find yourself running into this problem, like, oh, I'm such a bad person and all my journals reflect that I'm a bad person, if you stop journaling, you're just burying your head in the sand. The trick is to keep journaling and to make sure that you are growing in your journals, because if you are looking back and seeing no progress, and I say this as someone who looks back and sees very little progress in a lot of areas, then you need to be putting your hips into it and trying a lot harder and doing better. So one day at a time, just really try to focus on details, small things, small ways you can counteract those negative things. And it's good to have things that you did that were wrong in the forefront of your mind so you don't do them again. Those who do not learn history are doomed to repeat it, and that goes for us on an individual level as well, and journaling is our personal history. My entries tend to discuss emotions with which I am not comfortable. Oh man, have I been here. This is like one of those ones, I will avoid journaling if I'm feeling some type of way and I don't want to face it. Like, we can all be avoidant when it comes to feelings. And when it comes to certain stuff going on in our lives, if you feel inadequate especially, or like small, that's when I really stop journaling. It's like, oh, I feel so stupid and small. I don't want to write anything. Like, nothing I write is worth writing anyway. Here's what you do. Or maybe it's something like you're ashamed about yourself. Like, man, I'm really struggling with something that I never thought I'd struggle with, and I used to judge other people for struggling with it, and now it's me, and I don't want to face that. Whatever it is, you got to deal with it, and I've actually done it, and to use these techniques that I have actually used, they do help. They help you get out and vent those uncomfortable things in the moment without having to go back and look at them right away. Because you may want to thumb through that journal, but it might be a while before you're ready to look at those particular feelings, and you need to maintain some sense of control over it. You might need the vent in the moment, but then when you go back, you don't want to just be hit in the face with it every time. So this is something I've done a lot in a lot of my journals, and these are still in there, but I will paperclip together. I will like design, I've even called it like a quarantine section in a journal, where it's like, okay, everything is organized by date, except for this spread is just for this one particular topic that I hate, that I even have to deal with. And I'm going to write everything in these 2 pages, and then I'm going to paperclip it closed and never look at it again. That's what I'm going to do. I have quite a few sections like that in some of my old journals because I don't like them. They're uncomfortable. I'm still not comfortable. But the act of writing that down in the first place helped me to breach some of the initial discomfort, which is the first step. And now I actually am a lot more comfortable with a lot of those feelings and have made tremendous progress. The other thing you can do, if you must, tear out or scratch out those pages. Or you could just not do that. You could just paperclip them because then nothing gets lost. But if you really need them gone for good, you can get rid of them entirely. It makes me sad to think, but some people need to do it. Okay. Regret reading it back later. What is our next one? Our next reason is my entries don't show events and people in my life very objectively. Does anyone else relate to this? This is a big one for me. I'm not surprised. I'm kind of surprised this is towards the end of the sub. This is actually the last elaboration on this reason here. And I'm surprised because this is a big one for me. It's like sometimes I feel like I'm just writing my side of the argument. I'm just telling my side of the story. And it's like, this person isn't real. This person is so much more than how I've described them and how I've characterized them here. This person is, is this slanderous? Like if I'm mad at somebody and it's like I go on a rant or something, and, it's like, well, they're not really that bad. I was just mad at them that day. Things like that. Like, it can be rough to read it back and think you maybe were too harsh, or maybe if some third party comes along and reads it, they're going to think all these bad things about that person when that's not really true necessarily. It was just how you were feeling that day. I would definitely recommend, also with regard to events, that can even be like global events. If you have like a political view and you're like writing about something, then change your mind about later, or you might not want people, if you're somebody who journals for historical purposes and you want people in the future to find your journal and use it to characterize the 2020s, then you may not want them using that as a source. So the first step in overcoming this one is to consider the purpose of your journal. You're going to want to think about, because it really depends. If you're writing for you to vent, it doesn't really matter, especially if you're destroying these later. Don't do that. But you can do it if you need to. If the purpose of your journal is to, memory keep, and you feel like you're coloring your memories in a way that may not be accurate, then you may want to actually do something about this. And if you're writing a journal for historical purposes, you're not going to want to have a huge political slant to your journal, probably because you don't want to, create a biased record. Unless you do, which is totally cool. So after you consider the purpose, you could try to consider finding more objective sources to include in your journal. This is good if it's a historical type journal, if you want to include like news articles. There's some websites, I think the Wall Street Journal is supposed to be pretty neutral. I think you have to buy a subscription. AP is also a good one, I think, to use, or you could do a balance of like more left-leaning and more right-leaning ones, or whatever your country has. Apparently not every country is America, I've heard, so there may be different like axes along which people tend to bias news, but news in America is very biased no matter who you are, so definitely include a mix. Another thing you could do is you can include other people's perspectives. If it's like a personal thing, if somebody wrote you a letter explaining their side, you may want to include that in your journal alongside an entry where you explain your side of a dispute, and that's going to give people and yourself a more, neutral retrospective on that disagreement. And finally, the other thing you can do is you can consider revisiting those entries and commenting on them with a new perspective. I don't recommend doing this for every type of entry you have, but if there's something where you had a really emotionally charged event, or you had a really politically charged event and you wrote one thing about it, and then you look back and you're like, that's not that objective, you can actually write a new entry, reference the date of the old one, and say, hey, I've changed my mind about some of this stuff, kind of like a retraction in a news source. And it'll actually allow you to grow and change your mind, which is really admirable, and it will show people that you can grow and change your mind if they ever find your journal. So that's always a good thing. All right. Next big reason I am afraid someone else might read my entry in the future. Because there was only one elaboration that got any responses, my entries often contain secrets that I don't want others to know about. This is a big topic. This is a huge one. This is a reason I hear a lot of people outside of the survey saying that they don't want to journal because what if someone else reads it? I'd literally die because they'd find out all my secrets. They'd find out all my deepest, darkest thoughts. Like, I can't write that down. I can't risk it. And my recommendation, this is too long of a topic to really integrate into a video like this, so I'm going to put iCard and we got description. I've got a video already done about how to deal with people reading your journal, and how to prepare for that, how to handle it if it happens, and how to kind of overcome that mentality. So watch the video in the description. Alright, and another big reason here, we've got 2 more of these to go. What is going on here? I don't want to use up my nice stationery. Who does? Alright, believe it or not, there are quite a few subcategories of this answer, so let's get going. Stationery is often discontinued, so even if I have a lot, each individual item seems scarce and, scarce, that's not a word, scarce and valuable. To combat this, my top answer is we are living in the golden age of stationery. And by this I mean I love all the stuff that I have. It's great. It's just the best. There's also a lot of stuff I see when I go out that I still want to buy. And I don't know if you guys have seen scrapbook.com, but the paper and the ephemera they have on there is crazy. You gotta check it out. So, and Amazon has stuff, like everywhere has stuff, and eBay has a bunch of stuff, and none of that stuff is, I used to think eBay was this complicated website where you had to bid for things. eBay in many areas functions a lot like Amazon, like you don't have to bid for every item. A lot of people are just selling stuff straight up on there. So, I would definitely recommend going online and looking for stuff and just reassuring yourself that there's always going to be something cool out there that you want to buy. And if it's sentimental, don't you want to see it? So, definitely keep that in mind, because what's happening is you get this stationery hoarding problem, which some of us have, where it ends up with you end up having too much and you're not even having fun with it because you can't even see what you have because you just have a big pile. I have that problem and it's no fun, and it just kind of ruins the experience. I have much more fun when I'm tearing through it and I'm getting like more and more used. And this is a false, that's supposed to be an equal sign. This is a false scarcity mindset. It's not scarce. You have a lot already. It's going to take you way longer than you think to get through it all. Trust me. There's stuff I'm like, I can't use that. It's too nice. And then I start using it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to finish this ever. I can never go shopping again. You want to go shopping again one day, don't you? And by the way, I totally get that some people don't have a lot to work with, and they're getting creative. But these people, I've noticed, tend to find very creative ways to get decorations. So they'll go through junk mail, they'll go through magazines, and that's a lot more work. But I don't think they have this issue as much. I don't see these people hoarding huge amounts of stationery. So this is for people who have a lot, but they feel like it's scarce, even if they don't, because it's often discontinued. And don't forget that something better will come out tomorrow. It just will. You'll be fine. You're going to have everything you need, and you're going to have something else you want like crazy tomorrow, and you're going to wish you had less stationery so you could feel better about that purchase. So why don't you get to using the stationery you already have? All right. Let's get to the next bullet point. I rarely feel as though the entry I'm working on is worthy of my stationery. And for this one, I'm just going to say, imagine how much more you'll get out of the item when you see it as part of your life. Okay, you have a cute bird sticker, do you? It's a cute little sticker with a bird on it and you never want to use it because it's amazing and you don't want it to be gone. Now it is cemented in the history and the record of your life. If you're a journal burner, this isn't going to work for you. But for the rest of us, this is a great tip. Like, it will always be there. You're more likely to lose something or end up decluttering it if you don't use it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it falls to the bottom of a drawer. It gets taken by a mouse or something, heaven forbid. anything like that. So it's gonna be more valued as part of your journal and part of your life record. So definitely use it. This argument doesn't make sense if you actually think about it when it comes to journaling. Now, if you're gonna send it out in Happy Mail, you're not gonna see it again, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. Okay, I tend to use up most of whoops, this isn't it. Nice, stationery. Okay. Final reason under this category, I tend to use up most of a stationery item. Once I get down to the last bit of it, I don't want to use it because I don't want to run out. I feel this. I just had this happen the other day where I was like working with something and I was like, oh my gosh, this washi tape roll is almost used up. Better not use the last remaining bit. Oh, hello. Okay, I'm still here. So the way you can do this is you can use these items to decorate the cover of a journal where it will be more visible. So it's the last bit, maybe it's discontinued, you're not going to get any more. Put it on the front. You really like this item, make sure it will stand out for everyone to see and it'll get the spot of honor. Or you can use them in birthday spreads or other special spreads and treat yourself with them. Like maybe you accomplished something, you can use it. Now this could lead to a spiral of like, no event is important enough to use this little thing. And eventually, I'm sorry, I don't have a good tip for this. You're just gonna have to mind over matter it and just be like, it's a freaking sticker. I'm sticking it. Like that's literally what it's for. It's in the name. So this is something I really think we just all need to overcome. I fall prey to it too, but it's not worth having a hoard. It's not worth not using stuff that I like. Like who has time for that? I don't. Okay, next big reason. This is the last big reason of today. I am afraid I won't like the way my pages or spread look when I am done. Oh yeah, I feel this, especially in the age of Instagram and JournalTube and the whole bullet journaling community, which is adjacent to us. Things can look mighty nice and we can have these ideas, these little thought bubbles that appear in our head with like some Instagram picture of how gorgeous our spread is gonna look. And then real life comes in and like smacks you on the behind. And I know some of y'all in this community who are super artsy and everything you make looks amazing and y'all are really fun to watch, but you're not doing the rest of us any favors with this particular issue because sometimes I do a spread and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is objectively ugly. And I don't say that about a lot of things, but that just doesn't look it. That spread ain't right. So what you have to do with this one is you got to break it down. You gotta overcome the perfectionist mindset. You gotta realize nobody else is gonna see this and I need to just make my peace with whatever comes out of this. It's at least I got to be creative. I got to try something. Not everything you try works. You're not going to like everything you make, and at least you had the cathartic creating experience. Here's the main sub-reason. And on stickers, washi tape, paper, pens, or other decorations that I like. Okay, this is like this kind of falls into that other category I was talking about where you may not be having like a giant like, let me spend all this money on craft supplies every month. Like, yeah, definitely not everybody has that. I think sometimes the journaling community can get a little bit like envy inducing if people are like spending a lot on cool hauls and there's a lot of haul videos. There's ways around this, okay? There's actually a lot of good journaling supplies everywhere and they're literally free. Because, for example, you can use junk mail. That's a huge one. Like we get trash delivered straight to our mailboxes and a lot of that trash would look really cute in a collage, not gonna lie. And I do this. I have like magazines that I cut up. It's more work, but it also requires more talent for you to be like more creative and to really, visualize things in a certain way to go harvesting. And but it's gonna look great. I think that often the junk mail spreads look better than ones that are made with curated stuff from Michael's or Joanne or wherever you go. So, definitely don't feel like that's not an option. You can get lots of free stuff to collage from there. You can even just use like printouts that you get from work or school as part of a way to document your life. You can go to, yeah, that's really good. Here's another way you can go. Walmart and Dollar Tree are vastly underrated. So you can actually get some pretty good stuff from these places, and it's a lot more affordable than going, for example, to Michael's or a craft store, Hobby Lobby, Jet Pens, any of these places. I mean, seriously, some of these hauls that people have, like, remember when Traveler notebooks were really popular? I felt like a total plebe when those were popular. I was like, I'm never gonna buy one because I do not want to drop that kind of money on that, and I'm never gonna be cool, and I'm never gonna have nice spreads like all these other people. Spoiler alert, I have great spreads, and a lot of my stuff comes from Walmart and Dollar Tree because Walmart has like decent washi tape for like $2 or $3, like sets of it, not just one roll, but like sets. And yeah, it doesn't have tons and tons and tons on it the way some of the Michaels rolls do, but again, looking back on some of these other issues, like, we don't use washi tape as fast as we think we do. I use a ton of washi tape, and my collection is still overwhelming and daunting, and I'm working through it. So I definitely think that you can, get a variety of colors from Walmart, maybe not quite as much of each color, but you can experiment with a lot of different things, and it's very affordable. Also, Dollar Tree is great. They have incredible stickers, better stickers objectively than most other places that I've seen, way better than Michael's has, for example, and they're $1 for a set for like 10 stickers. So, if you go out with a budget of $5, you can get 5 sheets of that. If you go out with a budget of $10, and there's other stuff there too that you wouldn't think about, like the gift wrap section, the greeting card section, balloons that you could like deflate and keep pieces of. They have like wall decals. There's all kinds of stuff at Dollar Tree you would not expect. And if you get creative, some of my best spreads and definitely a lot of my best journal covers are Dollar Tree stuff that's like crazy affordable. If you consider that the entire sheet or the entire package of whatever it was $1, and then you break that down by how many pieces I actually used, I mean, some of my best spreads are just a couple cents really, and it's really beautiful. I mean, they have great artists working on this stuff, creating this stuff, and you got to be that person, okay? You got to be that person in the Dollar Tree with all the stickers all over the place, taking stuff down, kind of standing in one place for a while. It's a little embarrassing, but you can get a really good deal there. And if you're looking to stock up on stickers, Dollar Tree, I would highly recommend going there. If you're like worried about pens, you're like, I don't have a fountain pen, I don't have any cool pens, I'm just writing with like a Bic. Pilot G2 is a very affordable pen, and it comes in a lot of colors. So you can have options with that. You can get those on Amazon. You can get them from Walmart. Walmart has them, and they're really good. They write really smoothly, and they will turn your writing experience into something very pleasant, and it will look good. And finally, used bookstores. I know not everybody has these, but if you do, you need to realize that this is a key part of your journaling adventure moving forward, because not only do they have picture books and nature books that you can cut up at very little cost. They also, some of my local ones sometimes have like a craft section where they'll have like vintage photographs, like here's some old stickers, here are some old journals. Like they have an entire journaling section. Now, not all used bookstores are going to have this, but you can even go, I mean, mine sells postcards, it sells like weird posters that you can cut up, and it's very affordable. I got, I'll just tell you now, I got this right here is like one of my holy grail treasure trove finds. This is a softcover copy of Grey's Anatomy that I've been wanting one of these for a long time, but every time I went to like an actual bookstore, they were like nice hardcover versions that were like $30. That was a cheap one, like $4. Wait, it says, yeah, $4.95. It was $5 for this entire huge book. It's not showing up. This book is gigantic, and it has like all kinds of cool stuff in it. Not only does it have like cool words, like, I mean, look, this one says, can you see this? My green screen is acting up. It says pulmonary artery. So I don't know what else you need in your decorating life. Oh, did you do a full color diagram of a hearth? Because there it is. If you can, okay, this is a disaster. But point is, like, you can get some really good finds there. Nature books, weather books, nobody's buying this stuff. It's not worth anything because we have the internet now. But guess what? If you don't have a printer, or you don't want to spend money printing stuff out and using up all of your ink, it's worth a lot to you. So you're going to get a huge bang for your buck if you go to the used bookstore. I would recommend, even if you have to drive a bit to get there, it might be worth it to go maybe once a month, once every few months, to just really scavenge and stock up. Thrift stores could also be good if they have books. Highly recommend. Most people have thrift stores near them. Most people can afford the things they have at thrift stores. I've got a flea market nearby that has books. All kinds of stuff you can cut up and get. So definitely recommend trying those less conventional options that aren't, glamorized as much on YouTube. One day I'm gonna do a vlog video where I go and do some more affordable options, because I'd like to show you guys this stuff. I really feel like people don't talk about it as much. It's all about like these kind of pricey brands that are often from overseas, or like very fancy luxurious stuff. Like there's kind of a bit of a trend going around with the onion skin journal and like these really fancy stickers, people buying things from Etsy, which can be prohibitively expensive. And I love the aesthetic. I am here for it. I watch those videos, I get my coffee, I journal right along with these people, and I support them. I think everybody in the journaling community, my wish is that everybody is extremely successful and can purchase luxury journaling items. I have no hate in my heart for that, but not everybody is there. So I definitely want everyone to feel included and to know that they can participate in the aesthetic. If that's what they want to do, if they like that, they can participate in it for very low cost. So if you guys are interested in a video like that, let me know. It's something I've been planning for a while, but I'm a little bit nervous about being that obnoxious person like filming in a store. Especially these used bookstores are super quiet, so I would be annoying. But we're already way past that, so it's fine. Okay, is this video still going on? It is actually, but we're almost done here, so hang in there. Don't, what is this? Won't like the way my spread looks. I don't think I am a very good artist. Oh my gosh, speaking of bullet journaling adjacent, people are out here being like professional artists in their journals. And let me tell you, I like to do this thing where I'm like, it doesn't matter if you're bad at drawing, everyone should be able to express themselves visually. And I do believe that, but don't get me wrong, I will be like showing my hideous drawing and praying that no one's really looking at it, that people are watching in the background and doing dishes or something, because it's ugly, okay? Like, we're not all good artists, and I get it. So here's what you can do to get around that problem. Don't draw, just write. But my handwriting is bad. Okay, that's not really gonna help. So what you can do instead of that is, well, you can also practice your handwriting. I think that's easier to overcome than being bad at drawing, which is like you have to have spatial reasoning and a certain ability to visualize, and sometimes you have to like understand things to draw. But with writing, you can just write the same letter over and over again until you get it right. That's just pure rote memory, in my opinion. But you can also use stickers and other decorations to supplement. I used to feel so bad about my poor art skills, and then I was like, oh, is this why everyone's using like paper and stickers? And it was. And I started doing that, and now my journals look super artsy, and like I'm this amazing visual artist, and I did not draw any of that. It is purchased, it is cut, it is pasted by me, usually in a very formulaic, repetitive fashion if you watch my videos. But it looks good, it gets me in the mood to write, and that is all that matters. Print pictures using affordable printing methods. Yeah, if you have an affordable printer that you can use, you can just print out some pictures. You can also use like magazine stuff if you don't have a printer, or flyers, including memorabilia from your day. That'll help you memory keep, and it will add decoration and visual interest. And the other thing I would include is draw anyway. If you don't want anybody to see it, if you're like ashamed, just don't show anybody. It's for you. And sometimes I find that even when I know the drawing is going to turn out terribly, I know I'm going to be embarrassed as an individual for having made it. It's the only way to get out the feelings that I've got going on, or to process whatever it is I'm trying to process. It's got to be good. I've got an image in my head. We all know it's not going to make it onto the paper unscathed, but we'll do our best. And I've got some drawings in my journals that are hideous, and they mean a lot to me because I remember what I was thinking when I drew them. And you're going to create a memory, you're going to create an experience for yourself by trying to draw it anyway. That's going to be really useful. And you can also find ways around that, like you can draw things simply or do stick figures. I do that a lot, but a lot of it is just accepting that they're bad drawings. I just posted like a hideous drawing to my Instagram recently because I appreciate good art, 10 out of 10, praise good artists, also normalize bad art because some of us use it to cope with our lives and to process things. So that is it for this video. We have covered everything, and next month, hopefully it's next month, we are going to get to part 3, which is just a few more reasons, and hopefully this video helped. If you have any additional tips, please drop them down in the comments below, and thank you very much for watching. Bye.